name is Mirella, and I'm a beer specialist. What I do is a little bit different. I recommend the right beer for the occasion, so I will design beer menus for restaurants. I pair beer with food, suggest the proper glassware, and there's actually a technical term for what I do, although we're pretty rare in Canada. There are just 10 of us. I'm a certified cicerone, which is the beer equivalent to a sommelier. I thought I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my website because there's tons of fun resources there if you're looking for beer information. But suffice it to say that I'm very closely associated with beer. And what a lot of people don't realize about me is that I had a previous life. And before I got into beer, I was actually an opera singer. So that's me singing opera there, and that's me singing opera there. And when I made the switch, it was really interesting. The media was all confused. They were like, ooh, singing the praises of beer from the stage to the brewery. And everyone was like, how can you go from one field to another field that's so seemingly different? And the truth of the matter is, the two fields are not that different. From a work perspective, both of them are freelancing. So, the skills I learned in opera, promoting my services and managing my time, as well as this fine gentleman here from this amazing oatmeal cartoon. That's pretty much how I feel all the time. But there are also other skills that are transferable. For example, as a beer specialist, I do a lot of guided beer tastings. I'm sure most of you have gone to wine tastings before. And the way I approach a beer tasting is very much like I approach a performance. So I'll put together a script, memorize it, blah, blah, blah. And I think, the fact that I have a performance degree has really informed the way that I speak, and my connection to the audience would probably not be the same if I didn't have a performance degree. So in terms of the material, both fields reinterpret classics, right? So that's Handel over there. He wrote Giulio Cesare in the 1700s, and this is some dude, more recently, performing a piece written hundreds of years earlier and giving it his own slightly creepy spin there. I don't know what's going on with his fingers. Similarly with beer, beer dates back to ancient Sumeria, so thousands of years BC, and it's brewed today with the same ingredients, using the same techniques, but there are punk-ass people like my friend Jacopo there from Italy who are giving it their own individual spin and trying to make beer exciting and new. Both fields combine skillfulness and artistry. I don't know if you can see that, but that is something that's in Russian there. So the person who's performing that would have to learn a new alphabet, memorize the words, convey them convincingly, memorize the music, etc., and then, convey them with a certain amount of artistry and talent. That's my very talented friend Josh there doing Pamino. Beer is the same way. There's science involved. I'm not going to bore you with the details of that because it's exhausting. But on the right there, you see a slide of a beer that was brewed in Quebec, and that was a sangria beer. So they brewed beer using some wine must as well, and then added some fruit. So, taking a really old recipe, taking something that's very old and making it new. The people in both worlds are also very similar. I don't know what's up with this guy. This is a very creepy photo. But, opera geeks, they will collect different versions of the same song and compare them, and everyone's got their opinion on which was the best rendition of which aria from which year, and beer geeks are the same way. There are entire websites devoted to like, oh, I've had this beer, and have you had this beer, and what do you think of that beer? They're both incredibly geeky fields, and in both fields people will also travel to try new beers, to hear new operas. So it's interesting that both fields actually, at the end of the day, have a lot in common. And the most important thing they have in common is they're both a fun way to spend an evening. I love going to the opera, I love going to the pub. Which brings me to why I'm here today, because for the first time ever, after a year of work, I have managed to combine the two in an event that I am running next week. And that event is called Hopera. And so what I'm gonna do is I've hired 3 opera singers. They're gonna sing arias and duets. And I have paired each one of those arias and duets with a beer. So obviously there are a lot of people who enjoy both beer and opera, but it's a way to bring opera people into beer and beer people into opera. And I am just so ridiculously excited about it. The way I've organized it, the way I'm doing the pairings is based on mood. So of course, depending on your mood, you're going to be interested in listening to different music, right? If you're not going to, want to listen to a bunch of Merry Wives of Windsor's gossiping if you're in a bad mood. You might listen to the Queen of the Night there, or, I don't know what's going on with Tosca, but she's pretty pissed off. In the same way, depending on my mood, if I'm partying with friends, I'm going to drink a different beer than If I'm just having a quiet moment on my own, if I'm pissed off, I'll probably drink something very different. That guy's had a bad day. I love that photo. You know, or just hanging out with friends. So it's just interesting to me that people will just pick one beer and stick to it when you can really change it based on your mood. So here's a little example. This is Baracole. It's a duet. Some of you might know it. We didn't have sound, but anyway, it's like da 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 na 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 na. You know it? Yes. No, it's all around. So it's a duet. It's about like, oh, how beautiful the night is. And so a beer I might pair that with is a Belgian wit beer. It's a wheat beer, so it's smooth and silky in its mouthfeel. It has a very subtle flavor to it. And I geeked out a little bit. There's coriander and orange peel in the beer, so that's like two flavors that come together like the two voices. Seriously, it's gonna be awesome. Here's another example. This is Musetta from La Bohème. I don't know if any of you are familiar with La Bohème, probably a few of you. She's really fun to sing. As you can see, she's super feisty. But the cool thing about Musetta, she has a deeper, introspective side, and at the end of the day, when her friend is dying, she sells her favorite earrings to raise enough money for the doctor. So she's a very multifaceted character. So in terms of a beer pairing there, if I was playing that aria or having someone sing it, I think an American style India Black Ale would be cool because it's got really deep, chocolatey, roasted notes. You can see it's pitch black there, but it also has some surprising, citrusy, bright hop notes to accompany that. So there's a complexity there that mirrors her. Anyway, it's gonna be a rockin' time. It's gonna be so much fun. I'm really excited that I finally got this together. I hope some of you will join me. And so yeah, that's my talk, and that's my first Pecha-Kucha. I did it!